So this is the first time that I've gotten to actually sit in the new Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The interesting thing about it is you don't see any Jeep branding on this vehicle. You've got Grand Wagoneer on the steering wheel. You've got Grand Wagoneer over there on the dash. Even though it's sort of in the Jeep portfolio, they're obviously trying to separate this vehicle into a new category, a luxury category. You know, if you look at the interior on this thing, it is pretty nice. You've got gold accents. You've got a lot of fake wood grain accents on everything. Sliding trays and lots of storage. By the way, the window sticker is in here. Look at the price on this one. Sticker is $112,235. This one does have the 510 horsepower Hurricane twin turbo engine, but you can see under optional equipment there's not much there. $1,600 for the 22-inch wheels and $645 for the diamond black paint job, which is the same color I have on my Ram. So really not hardly any options, and you're at $112,000. So you could buy a very small urban house, have some real estate, something that will grow in value over time, or you can buy a Grand Wagoneer, I guess. But sitting in this, it is every bit as big inside as the Ram 1500. This is very much a full-size vehicle. The mirrors are huge. If you look back here behind me, you can see that the cabin back there is gigantic. You've got color screens everywhere. I mean, there's just more screens in here than a Best Buy store. 1, 2, 3, 4 different color screens up here in the front of the cabin. The seats do feel pretty supportive and comfortable, as you would expect, but they're not like elite grade seats. You know, I'm not sitting here like really comfortable, to be honest. I do have some pretty decent leg room. However, the console here, you know, you can see how my knee rests against this. I mean, if you're driving, it could get a little bit annoying, but I guess all in all, not too bad. I guess the thing that really surprises me, like I said, it's somewhat comfortable and it's got a lot of space, but it's really not as comfortable as I would expect it to be for a full-size vehicle. You know, I'm not a super tall guy, but I just can't really get all that comfy in here. And of course, you've got all your controls up here for your panoramic roof and vent and all that kind of stuff. Your safety, SOS and assist, and your rear hatch, map lights, all that good stuff. They do give you a mirror here, which is kind of cool. I guess you could use that to keep an eye on your kiddos back there behind you. You've got your home link system for your garage door and all of that. So that's pretty standard stuff on a lot of vehicles. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice vehicle, but is it $112,000 nice? That is the question. As for fuel economy, 14 city, 20 on the highway for a combined rating of 17. So again, this is not really a fuel efficient vehicle. I guess anyone who has 112 grand to spend on a car doesn't really care how much they're going to spend on gas. But just FYI, you know, you're not going to be looking at very great fuel economy with this. Even though it's got the new inline 6-cylinder turbo engine, you're really not doing much better than a 6.4 Hemi would do. And especially in the real world, where I find that the turbo engines, the smaller displacement turbo engines, usually don't do as well as the window sticker indicates. V8 engines do. They seem to do exactly what the window sticker tells you, but these smaller displacement turbo engines, I don't know if it's because of how people drive them or what, but usually they don't quite make it to this mark. So personally, you figure, you know, this engine or the Hemi, either one, you're going to get about the same gas mileage. Being a truck guy, I always like to look at this sticker right here. So you can see your payload capacity, 1,454 pounds. So it's a decent payload capacity. And of course, if you got a vehicle like this, you're going to put a lot of people in it. So this is going to be eaten up pretty quickly if you put a big family in here. Keep that in mind if you're planning to tow with one of these, because the people you put inside this vehicle are going to subtract from that payload number, and that's not going to leave you a whole lot for a trailer. The 22-inch wheels do look pretty nice on this vehicle. Personally, I wouldn't want 22s, you know, it's a subjective thing, but they do look pretty nice on this vehicle. You've got a lot of the copper color, you know, accents here on the Grand Wagoneer logo. And again, they just don't really want you to know that it's a Jeep. Even here in the front of the vehicle, you see Wagoneer across the grille. No indications of it being a Jeep. You do have a camera up there, all kinds of parking sensors and driver aid sensors down here in the bumper. Lots of LED lighting. You can see that you've got lighting in the mirror as well as a camera. So lots of cameras on these vehicles these days, especially at this price point. And then if you come around to the rear of the vehicle, you'll notice that there's a cover over where the hitch is. So they figure most people probably are not going to be towing. So they cover this up to make it look nice and for fuel economy maybe, I don't know. But then if you want to tow, you just simply pop that cover off and your hitch is back there behind that. And of course you can see you've got multiple sensors back here for parking aids and things, also camera, and it's even got a little washer on it, looks like. So pretty nice. What I would really like to do is take it for a drive, because this engine is going to end up in the Ram pickup trucks and maybe the Jeeps, and it would be a really good indication of what we're going to be looking at if we got a chance to drive this. So maybe I'll try to put that on the list, see if I can take one for a spin. And while I'm here, we might as well check out this new Grand Cherokee 4xe. You can tell by the blue accents that it's a 4xe. First one I've actually seen in person. Of course, you got the blue Trailhawk accenting on the hood here also. Let me show you something interesting I've noticed about these new Grand Cherokees, and maybe it's been like this for a while, I don't know. But if we get up under here, see how they've designed this upper A-arm? So you've got about 1 inch here between the upper A-arm and the tire. And it's pretty close on the inside too, but this is the main thing to keep an eye on. So obviously that's going to prevent you from putting a much larger tire on here. You could maybe go up one size, because, you know, let's say you get a tire that's 1 inch taller. Only 1/2 inch of that is going to be up in this area. So you could go up one size in tire. This is a 265, 60, 18, but you couldn't go up very much. And so that's going to be a problem for people who want to put big tires on these Jeeps. You know, the Grand Cherokees have really changed a lot over the years. Of course, you can see all the fancy suspension components up in here. This one has a lot of different rod height adjustment, I suppose, but something to keep an eye on there. If you're going to buy one of these Grand Cherokees, you're not going to really be able to mod it. By the way, this Grand Cherokee is $71,000. So again, these vehicles are just getting completely out of control with their pricing. And that's probably why you see a lot of these things starting to sit on the dealers' lots for longer periods of time. But it is a pretty cool looking rod. So if you're a wealthy person and you're wanting a Jeep that has some hybrid capability to it, there you go. And while we're on the topic of vehicle pricing, hey there, train. Got a train going through. Yeah, so let's try that again. So while we're on the topic of vehicle pricing, I wanted to show you this real quick. So this is probably going to be the next vehicle that I end up with. I want to go to a heavy duty truck because I'm starting to tow some heavier things, and I just want to make it a little bit easier process. But this looks like your standard run-of-the-mill heavy duty truck these days, right? It's a Ram 3500 crew cab, single rear wheel, 4-wheel drive, right? But this particular truck happens to be a limited trim, and I want to show you the pricing on this puppy. Woo! If we can even see it. There we go. $107,000 for this truck. Now the thing I wanted to mention about that is, you know, you can start these trucks out, a Ram 3500 crew cab tradesman 4-wheel drive with a diesel engine. You can start it out in the low 60,000s, right? This one is almost double that. So that just goes to show you, when you start adding packages, and that's how these automakers are really raking in their money. You know, they're charging more and more and more for packages. You start adding trim level and equipment option groups and LED lights and things like that, and you're really having to pay for it. You can almost buy 2 tradesman trucks for the price of 1 limited truck. And that's why I think it's just absolutely insane. You know, these guys that are like hell-bent on getting these upper trim levels, like, why would you pay twice as much just to get some options? Now, I'll admit, it's a good-looking truck. I like the color-keyed front end and all of that, the leather seats and things. I mean, it is nice. But is it so nice that you would pay for almost 2 trucks just to get this trim level? I mean, that seems to be a thing in our society these days. Everybody wants the higher trim level, and they talk trash about the guys that come down and get the base work trucks. But I'm telling you, I think it's ridiculous. I would much rather buy a tradesman for half the price and then put the things on the truck that I want or that I need. Seems like a much better way to go to me. Yeah, so I mean, like I was saying, the price of new vehicles is just completely out of control. I mean, everything gradually gets more expensive over time. That's just how it is. But, you know, if you go back to like 2016 to 2020, you know, we saw inflation was like 2% for a couple of years, and then it pretty much flatlined and we didn't have any inflation, you know, and so things were really kind of stagnant. And then from 2021 on, it's just been an absolute train wreck. You know, if you really pay attention to it, almost everything that you go to buy, whether it be tires for your truck or clothes or, you know, things at the hardware store, or, I mean, you could just go down the list. Everything that you buy, everything that you want or need in life for just daily life seems to be 80 to 90% more expensive than it was just a couple of years ago. They keep saying inflation is, you know, 8% or 9%. I think they're like leaving a zero off because I haven't seen anything that's just 9% more expensive. Everything has almost doubled. It's just crazy. And unfortunately, you know, vehicles are not immune to that. So the sticker price is just nuts. So what does that mean going forward? You know, how is this all going to shake out? Well, we've been waiting for a while now for a full-blown recession to set in. You know, experts keep telling us it's coming. Common sense would tell you that it's coming. Things can't keep going the way that they've been going. So something's got to give sooner or later. And we've kind of been waiting for the big crash to come. You remember back in 2008, when we had a very similar administration in office who had similar ideology, the same thing happened. We ended up with this big crash and so forth and so on. But anyhow, we've been kind of waiting for that. And the assumption has been that when that happens, we're probably going to see these automakers start offering some huge rebates and incentives to try and keep moving vehicles and especially trucks. One of the interesting things about it was during that last recession, though, pickup truck sales fell off a cliff. Remember? I mean, they were trying to give the things away to keep selling them. I have seen personally as much as $16,000 off sticker price at dealerships here locally, as they were just trying to move inventory and keep selling trucks. And, you know, that's been the assumption, is that the way things are going right now, eventually it's going to crash. And when that happens, there's going to be some big rebates and incentives, special financing, who knows what they'll come up with to try and sell trucks. But it hasn't happened yet. You know, for some reason, even though the economy is really not in good shape, people are still spending money. They're still buying things. You know, you drive around, you see development everywhere, you know, houses and businesses and factories, and there's just development everywhere, and people are still buying trucks. You know, pretty commonly you'll go down to the dealership and you'll see, you know, 10 or 12 new trucks they got in, and a week later, over half of them are gone, you know, so people are still spending money. They're still buying these things, even though they're so expensive. And it's kind of a weird dynamic, you know, because again, obviously things are super expensive. The economy's not doing well. Interest rates have been, you know, purposefully jacked up, and everything is just a train wreck out there, yet people are still spending money. Usually it's the opposite of that. So we haven't seen that big crash yet, and it's starting to look like nobody knows exactly how this is going to shake out. I still think personally, though, that eventually we're going to see something have to change. You know, if you look at just simple economics, you know, the average household income in this country is like, what, $70,000? You know, if the average household income is $70,000, how can they continue to sell $110,000 vehicles? I mean, I just don't see how they can sustain that long term, you know, at least not in great numbers. So eventually something's got to change here. I mean, I don't see, obviously, the prices on trucks ever going down again, but rebates and incentives and all of that kind of thing will probably return. Could be as early as this fall. And most experts that I've talked to tell me that they believe that next summer, which would be the summer of 24, is when we probably will start seeing interest rates start going back down. And they could start going back down pretty sharply. So if you're looking to buy a new truck, maybe if you wait till at least the end of this year, if not next year, I think you'll probably be able to get a much better deal on it. But you know, if you're buying a Ram like that one that I showed you in the clip a minute ago at $107,000 sticker price, I don't know if there's a good enough deal out there to make that affordable for the average person, right? You'd have to cut 50% off of that to even make it something that most people would be able to entertain. So I don't know. It's a complicated situation. It's really weird. I think that something has kind of complicated it is just the fact that the government stole 2 years of our lives from us, right? And really, the argument could be made that it was a little more than that. But 2020 and 2021, we were basically forced to sit around and do nothing. You know, you couldn't go to work, you know, at least in my case, and a lot of people's case, you know, you couldn't go to the office anymore. You couldn't go to work. So they made us work from home. A lot of stores were closed. Schools were closed. I mean, you know, places where you would normally go for entertainment were closed. Everything was shut down. You know, they took 2 years of our lives away from us. And so when we kind of came out of that, everybody was just ready to go. You know, they were chomping at the bit to go, and they don't care how much money it costs now. They're wanting to go. They want to go buy things, and they want to go take vacations and, you know, build houses and whatever. You know, it's like, you know, people are just ready to get out and live their lives again now, regardless of what the economy looks like. I personally think that's probably a lot of it. So you can imagine if the economy was good, just imagine how crazy it would be out there right now. They wouldn't be able to make building materials fast enough. They certainly wouldn't be able to build trucks fast enough, and they're already having trouble doing that now. So I guess in one sense, maybe it's a good thing the economy is not great at the moment. It's weird to say that, but anyway, it's just a really weird dynamic. But the fact that you're seeing like normal, what I consider normal vehicles like Jeeps and pickup trucks into the 6 figures now, never thought I'd see that in my lifetime, but I guess it is what it is. So I'm going to keep driving this Ram that I'm leasing for probably at least another year. You know, the idea of getting another new vehicle is starting to get way out of, you know, the realm of possibility, but, you know, maybe I'll find a really nice used heavy duty truck next year or something and maybe try that out. But what do you guys think about this? You know, maybe some of you guys watching the video are kind of financial experts yourselves. Maybe you have some good thoughts or opinions on this. Let us know what you think about it. And do you think it's going to get any better anytime soon? All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.